Now, help me out, Blaster. Transform and play something nice.
And now, a nice and nifty musical selection for easy listening. Hold on to your dancing shoes and go, man, go!
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall, a Transformers TCG podcast broadcasting live from an underground bunker in the middle of the murky Midlands.
I want to boot some Decepticon right in his turbocharger.
Whoa. Calm down, Cliff Jumper. Wow. Seriously, put that gun down. You're going to kill somebody in this studio. Goodness. Right, anyway, I'm your host, Lee, from Bluetop Productions, and today I have a motley crew of people to talk everything about Transformers TCG. That's right, the trading card game based on the cartoon from the 80s. This podcast will talk about news about the Transformers the TCG, new releases, deck profiles, and stuff that's happening in the community. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
What's up, guys, and welcome to One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall, episode 24.
Events occur in real time.
That's right. Bit of Jack Bauer there. Hopefully there's no evil Decepticons planning any shenanigans in this episode. But we are the one and only... That's right, Transformers TCG podcast on the airwaves. I am Lee, your host/producer from Bluetop Productions, and today I am joined by my co-host, the man behind the Energon Hustlers, Dave Cook. How you doing, Dave?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm all right, buddy. Not bad. I think this particular episode's long overdue because this set's been out for a while now.
And it's been a while since I first saw you.
It's been a while since it was released, and we've had a bit of a back catalogue, not gonna lie. As you've seen, we have been quite busy, and it's finally good to talk about this because you spoiled cards from this set and I spoiled cards from this set and I play tested stuff from this set, and I haven't really had the time to basically review it because we've been overwhelmed by people wanting to do stuff with us, isn't it, Dave? We've just had a back catalogue.
Absolutely. Well, we were really busy with World Strike because that was a monster of a set. You know, in comparison, what we're doing tonight is much smaller. We're hoping to smash out the entire set in one episode, which we're pretty confident we can do.
This is a light jog.
Yeah, rather. I know. It was quite beastly, wasn't it, that one? And then, you know, we've obviously we've announced our project. We're still working on that. We're still play testing. We're getting there with that. So yeah, we've been very, very busy. And yeah, tonight we're reviewing ATP3.
I'm super excited for ATP3. So episode 24, obviously, thumbnail. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know we're reviewing ATP3. People who listen to us on Podbean and through iTunes and all that stuff, hello! Yes, we're doing ALPHA TRION PROTOCOLS WAVE 3. This is episode 24. Episode 25 will be an interview with our good friend Dan Arnold, one of the heads of the Hydra behind Vector Sigma and obviously creating the ATP cards, etc. So that should be a ton of fun. Another great friend to Dave and myself in the next episode. I'm super excited. It's been a while since I've caught up with Dan, so that should be a fantastic episode because it's been quite a busy bee, and so have we. Actually, that actually rhymed accidentally, but right there. But yes, with this set, we have 22. That's right, Taylor Swift returning to the podcast once more. 22 cards. We have 11 characters, 9 battle cards, and 2 stratagems. Quite a significant bite-sized chunk to what we've previously done with ATP, but some absolute bananas amazing characters in this set, Dave.
There really is. I've still not got my physical cards either. They've been on order. Big shout out to Mike Santino, actually. He's just, him and his wife have just had their second baby. So congratulations. And that's the reason I don't have my cards, is because he has been very busy with the newborn. So big shout out to Mike. Thank you for sorting it out. I'm really looking forward to getting them when they arrived. I've been playing with some of the battle cards. The battle cards are, I'd say, pretty spicy as well, to be fair. And there's only 2 stratagems, isn't there? There's only 2.
There's only 2. That's right. There's only 2. I feel like whenever it comes to like fan created sets, we sound like we're repeating ourselves, as we always do on this podcast. That it's always fun to look at battle cards, because that's what you always want to put into decks to then help out other characters. But then when other factions, should we say, in the community create characters, and you're like, oh my gosh, who the heck is this? What is that character? It kind of piques your interest again into looking into Transformers lore. And there's a few in this set where I was like, I have no idea. Let's go look at Wikipedia. And then it's like, oh, it's a comic book series or run that I never read. That's kind of exciting. So yeah, it's been really cool to see some of the characters that are made it in this set. There's some fan favorites, definitely. And some ones where you're like, who the heck is that? But that's pretty awesome. And like we said previously, Dave got to spoil some stuff. I got to spoil some stuff. So this kind of hits a little bit close to home, should we say, Dave, when we review the ATP sets and any other set, because people seem to give us stuff to spoil, which we're always grateful for in the community. So without further ado, Dave, should we get straight into the characters first?
Yeah, sounds good to me. There's definitely some that I've not heard of before, but that just shows you the wealth of lore that Transformers has. So, yeah, do you want to go first, mate, or...?
Ooh, I feel like this is kind of right up your alley. Like, this is a kind of... I love playing this, should we say, type of card, but I believe you also enjoy playing this type of vehicle as well. So I'll let you go with the first one, and I'll take the second one. So you can take the lead with the characters first, mate.
Okay, this might be interesting to find out where my laptop and your Mac are in sync or not. So the first one I've got on my screen is Highbrow, the Malware Brigadier. He is a helicopter and specialist. He is 311-2. He's got Pierce 2. And when you flip to this mode, return an upgrade on a character to its owner's hand. And he comes in at a rather spicy 6 stars, and he's also an Autobot. That's a really, really cool thing to see. There's not enough really cool helicopters, I feel, in the game. You know, we've got Springer, who love or hate him, is obviously probably one of the better ones. We've had some other helicopters from the Ark. We've had Vortex and Tracer. But then the rest of the helicopters in the game have been a bit meh, really. Whirl, you know, Autobot Whirl from Wave 5 is like super rare.
Are you forgetting about the best helicopter of all time? Sandstorm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Sandstorm, man. Sandstorm was in there. But yeah, definitely Springer is one of, obviously, the most highbrow of helicopters. But it's good to see the different... I'm going to keep calling them factions now because that's just stuck in my head. It's just good to see the different creators bringing in, I would definitely say, something that was definitely introduced, but there was no real support for. Like...
No.
And it's good to see more helicopters in the game. But yeah, that is spicy for 6 stars, man.
I think so. Like, Pierce 2 is really relevant. That's really good. And when you flip to this mode, return an upgrade on a character to its owner's hand. You know, how many times you're like, oh, I really wish I had an answer for that sparring gear or for some, you know, something else that's problematic. And you're just like, oh, there you go, boing, off it pops. It's really good. You know, not particularly high attack value, but he's only 6 stars. Specialist as well, though. Specialists are always spicy. You like specialists.
Yeah, they're kind of interesting because I don't know for me, but like specialists seem to be always in everyone's lists because there's so many decent upgrades and decent cards with the word specialist on them. So obviously Field Communicator is one of the best cards, I think, because it allows you to play another card, and you know that's a staple for every specialist deck. If you're not running one, in a specialist deck, I'm just going to tell you now, you're dumb.
You're dumb. You're dumb.
But it's awesome to see Highbrow, because obviously Highbrow was introduced in Headmasters.
Well, I fear your logic is faulty. You assume a priori that we are malevolent without first...
Shut up.
So, honestly, if the game had lived on, obviously the game died with Headmasters being introduced, we might have had a Highbrow. That would have been really cool to see, a helicopter... Titan Master. Obviously, Dave knows about his hatred for Titan Masters, guys. We know this. I don't want to enrage the beast, should we say? But it would have been cool to see that, because obviously that's how Highbrow went forth in the series as well as a Headmaster. But still, 6 stars. I'll probably play him at some point. He's really, really good. So, Dave, what does he do in bot mode, bro?
In bot mode, he drops the helicopter trait, funnily enough, because he's a robot. He goes up to 4 attack, drops down to 1 armor. He has, instead of Pierce, he's got Focus 1. And each character with the highest number of stars on your team has +1 defense. That's very solid. Again, your big boy is going to get that +1 defense. So if it's someone like Prime or another high star character, Optimus Prime with 4 armor is quite mean. And Focus 1. Focus is an ability we don't really see a massive amount of, really. But I think in this mixed pip world, where you're seeing a lot of decks now that are kind of multi-pip, Focus is a really strong ability just to shunt those blue cards away on the attack, and then the orange cards away on the defense. So I think he's solid, really good 6-star character. He's going to fit into a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think he's really, really interesting. I think it's fun. Another trait that was kind of forgot about Wizards, Focus. Really cool to see that. It kind of fits Highbrow as well, because he was quite the snobby intellectual, wasn't he, in the comics as well as the TV series. So it's kind of cool to see him being the guy who wants to focus and on it and helping out his team. I think that ability for each character with the highest number of stars on your team gets +1 defense is incredible. Like, that could be a really fun in some of the other formats that are out there, like Primus, obviously Chaos Wars, loads of fun stuff, like other formats that are going out there, maybe even in with the Unicron raid and stuff like that. It's really cool. I really like it. I think he's going to see the table at some point, Dave, for sure.
Definitely. He's really cool. I really like him, even if he is a headmaster in the comics in the show. But yeah, no, he's good. He's solid.
So, because mine are different today, so we're going to spin the roulette wheel of doom. And mine actually comes out as the next person as Banzai-tron. Kind of like that old TV show, Banzai! Banzai! There we go. A little bit of a flashback for you guys. This guy is incredible, just to say off the top. So, Banzai-tron, if I'm saying it correctly, Devious Orchestrator, is a tank and a specialist. Let that sit in for a brief second, guys. A tank and a specialist. He's got 4 attack, 13 health, and 2 armor in alt mode. He is 8 stars, and his text box reads, "This is a leader if you began the game with no Autobots on your starting team. It also has Tough 1 built in, and when you flip to this mode, if this has an armor, look at your opponent's hand and you may play a secret action from your hand." That is incredible. Dave, your thoughts, as you love your secret actions.
I really do, and Claire really doesn't. But yeah, he's really, really good. Again, specialist, we've touched on with Highbrow, just how cool that is as a trait. Tanks, I love my tanks as well, being able to hunker down into composite and all that sort of thing, Ghost Shield, etc., which also really helps him with his flip ability, because if you were to hunker down, you would actually resolve the putting the armor on first, and then you would resolve his when you flip to this mode ability. So hunker down and him seem to go hand in hand. I like the leader thing. I like any card that encourages theme for me is a massive thumbs up, because I really am more into the game from a lore perspective and a theme perspective than I ever have been from like the whole mixed teams. When I first started playing, it really annoyed me. I was like, why would they fight together? But I've got over that now as I've got more sort of into the game. But I really like that because there's some really cool Decepticon leader cards like Callous Leadership. And there's a really cool one we're going to review in a bit. That's really good for leaders as well.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about there. That's a very, very good card as well.
It's very cool.
It's going to be coming up later for sure. So, moving on to his bot mode, he obviously loses. Now, this gets interesting. He does lose tank and specialist, but he gains melee. So, again, a different take from his alt mode completely. Here, his attack goes up by 1, so it goes to 5, and obviously it stays at 2 armor and 13 health. And then in the text box it says, this is a leader if you began the game with no Autobots on your starting team, and he gets bold 1 in bot mode. So tough 1 in alt, which is obvious because he's a tank, and when he's transformed out of his tank mode and he wants to punch you really hard, having the melee trait as well is kind of cool. So bold 1 just seems to fit hand in hand, and the artwork is absolutely killer. So cool. Yeah, Dave, your thoughts?
He's really solid, isn't he? Again, he's 8 stars, so he's not prohibitively expensive. Bold 1 is great. Obviously, when you're thinking of tanks, you're thinking like Demolisher, Darkmount, Megatron, you know, those sort of characters. Tanks, particularly if you're pairing him with Demolisher, want to flip loads more cards. So having the bold 1 in this mode is really, really cool. And, you know, melee, there's some cool stuff out there that interacts with melee, particularly if you're going for the whole crossplay thing. You know, there's just been a crossplay tournament, actually, which we touched on a couple of episodes ago with Adam. You know, they just finished their Bayformers and ATP crossover event, didn't they? And there was loads of support for melee characters in Bayformers World Strike. So, yeah, he's going to definitely slide in. I like tanks. Not as much as I like cars, but I do like my tank deck. And, yeah, he's just solid, isn't he? It's not very fancy on this side. It's just like, I'm going to hit you slightly harder with bold 1, and I'm still a leader.
It's true. I feel like I want to run him and Darkmount. Him and Darkmount seem like a really interesting combination. Just because of the ability with some of the cards like Wedge Formation, some other fun stuff. Like, yeah, I can see some shenanigans with those two on the table.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
So, Dave, we'll spin the roulette wheel. What is the next character? Because we're 2 down. We've got 9 remaining.
We have the next one, and he's not the first time we've seen him in a fan set, so it's quite cool to see a different take on him. This one is Sea Spray, the Consummate Sailor. There we go. He's a boat. He's a specialist. Again, 3 characters, 3 specialists. So they're definitely pushing that. 4 attack, 12 health, 0 armor. This gets +1 defense for each boat on your starting team. When you flip to this mode, draw 2 cards, then scrap a card from your hand unless your starting team was only boats, and he's only 6 stars for 12 health. Let that sink in. Like, that's very, very good. And he's cool, like boats. Again, another tribe that was kind of started by Wizards. We had Nautica, we had Sea Watch.
Yep.
Tidal Wave. There's a few in there, but again, they weren't really kind of heavily supported in the game. So it's cool to see another version of Sea Spray. And he's got amazing abilities. You know, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like, we touched on it earlier. I think you did about playing in theme and in tribes and stuff like that. Again, kind of similar to what Highbrow was. Helicopters never really introduced. There is a load now, thanks to fan sets, which is great. Sea Spray, Boat was very unutilized. There was a few that was teased, but then there was no support out there. This Sea Spray works incredibly well with, obviously, Wave 1 arc for Sea Spray. So you can have the Sea Spray bros working together effectively. And again, like, this is the 3rd character with the word specialist. I wonder if this might be a theme throughout the set, guys. Just saying is all. I really like it. It makes you want to play boats because he just gets +1 armor for each other boat. There's cheap boats out there, and you can play really themed, fun, stupid stuff. Yeah, I really, really like it. Again, I think Tribes is going to be a really cool theme with this guy, which is really, really strong. So, Dave, what does he do in bot mode?
In bot mode, he is still a specialist. He drops to 3 attack but goes up to 2 armor. He has Pierce 2, and each character with the highest number of stars on your team has +1 attack. So, very similar to Highbrow in that respect. I like it. I think it's cool. You know, you're looking at a very, very efficient package for 6 stars. You know, like some people might look at these and go, oh my God, his stats are insane for that star cost. But remember, listeners, that these cards are designed for tournament play. You know, every single card that ATP have made has been designed to be used in their events. So that's why he's statted probably a little bit high. He's kind of like top end what you'd see in a Wizard set, isn't he, really?
I'm just really, really impressed with the set so far. I think just 12 health for 6 stars, that is...
chunky.
It is chunky. He is a bit of a beefcake.
And say it with me! Beefcake!
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 It also is a bit insane.
Insane in the membrane!
Because that's a lot of health for a 6-star character. But hey, you know, Dave mentioned it just... ATP have really gone the way of the competitive route, guys, and we've seen that with most of their cards. And when Dave and myself have played games, and Dave mainly on his channel, if you go check out his channel with all his battle reports, the ATP cards seem to be very more competitive in the sets that we've reviewed so far. So obviously that's their format. They love competitive play, and their tournaments also show that as well. So yeah, Sea Spray, probably going to see the table if you're allowed that cross-pollination and mixing of sets, because that is incredible value.
It really is, and he is hitting the table. You know, there's been, at the time of recording, there was a charity event over the weekend that Dan ran for the autism awareness one, and Sea Spray features in the top 8 deck, so he is going to see play because he's just very, very good value for that star cost. So yeah, well, enough said, really. He's just bloody good.
He's just a ruddy good character in this set.
Who's next, mate?
Okay, so on my screen, I'm spinning the roulette wheel. I get a fan favorite character. Now, I can understand why people love this guy. And when Wizards brought out their version of this guy, it was hit or miss, because you weren't really playing with Autobots. You mainly played him with Decepticons. So people were kind of a bit cheesed why he wasn't a Decepticon to begin with and he was an Autobot. But we're talking about Impactor, Unrelenting Veteran. Now, guys, in alt mode, this is a full bar of traits. He is a leader, a wrecker, a tank, and ranged. Pretty darn good. Across the card, there is 4 right there. That's a bit of a beefcake.
And say it with me! Beefcake!
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 I don't know if there's any 4s out there in the Transformers sets recently, but that is a lot on one character. He is 9 stars, guys, in alt mode, and he has 4 attack, 14 health, and 2 armor. He has bold 1 and tough 1, and at the start of your turn, you may do 1 damage to one of your wreckers. If you do 2 damage to an enemy that has at least 10 damage. So it can pick on big boys that have taken a bit of a brutal punch. It can beat up those combiners, which is kind of cool. And it also targets those guys who, you know, might be, should we say, running the deck. The deck is all about that one character and he's taken a bit too much damage, but, you know, he's sending in the minions. Should we say, well, for example, like the Quintus on Judges, for example, maybe he's taken a ton of damage. This guy, you just do a cheeky bit of shenanigans with your wreckers and you can just keep pinging them from distance. Absolutely phenomenal. Dave, your thoughts on Impactor and his alt mode?
Vast improvement from the Wizards of the Coast version, beyond shadow of doubt. Like, the wreckers are a fan favourite. You know, they're amongst some of the best comics I've read. Not just talking about Transformers comics, but, you know, comics in general. I loved The Last Stand of the Wreckers. I thought it was an amazing storyline. And when we got like the Wizards ones, apart from Perceptor, but that's Dan's doing. Let's face it. The rest of them, well, let's face it, they're a bit rubbish. So to see a really cool version of him makes me smile. I love the synergy he's got with some of the existing ones as well. Look at him and Sergeant Cup from Wave 5, who had a bit of a wonky ability. He's a bit hard to get going, really. You kind of had to build around. Just put him and Impactor together, shoot you shoot any of your Wreckers for 1, and then they get +1 attack off Sergeant Cup, and you get to shoot someone for 2. Value. I think he's really good. And he's one of my favourite characters from the Transformers universe. And like you say, the Wizards one was a bit...
Yeah, it was a bit meh. But yeah, I think you nailed it. Everyone loves the Wreckers. I think I have to agree with you, Dave. It's some of the phenomenal Transformers storytelling as well as just normal comic book storytelling. I can say this now, and this might get me a lot of heat right now. I'm not a big fan of the Wreckers. Just because to me, it's like Suicide Squad, but just with robots. Just saying is all. But he's very iconic, you know, and it's good to finally get a decent card of him in the game. And good shout out to you boys over there at Vector Sigma. So we'll transform him into bot mode, and he has leader, wrecker, and ranged. So he loses the tank ability, obviously, because he's transformed. He goes from 4 attack to 5 attack, and he still has 2 armor and 14 health. But in his text box, it says, each of your damaged wreckers has bold 1 and pierce 1. So again, that's value. And Dave's already touched on it as well. If you run this guy with that crazy Headmaster Cup, telling you now, shenanigans afoot.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
I'm telling you now, shenanigans will happen with that lovely old guy. I feel like this guy is fantastic. There's other wreckers, so spoilers guys, in this set, which synergize with him really well as well. But it's really cool to see how, obviously, their take on Impactor. Because, obviously, this is a huge fan favorite, and you have to nail it. Because if you don't nail it well, we'll probably get a Wizards version of Impactor. That's how well it was for not nailing a character well. But yeah, I absolutely love this guy. I know he's a huge fan favorite. So, Dave, your thoughts on the bot mode and Impactor in general?
He's incredibly solid for his star cost. Again, health is at the high end of a 9-star character, but he's a fan favorite. Impactor shouldn't be rubbish. He was a turd, wasn't he? He really was. He was just, I opened him, I'm like, oh, it's rubbish. Oh, you can go over there. And occasionally you see play because you're a 7-star tank, and there weren't many others at the time. But no, they've nailed it. And it's the 4th character, and every single piece of artwork has been stellar. So they've dug through the archives of Transformers art, and they've chosen really nice artwork as well. Bold 1, Pierce 1 for your wreckers. It's not amazing, but it's just solid, isn't it? He's a solid, dependable character that's going to pull his weight in a fight.
Yeah, 100%. I really, really like him. Obviously, again, wreckers want to play tribal with this guy. You might see him outside of that just for some other kind of shenanigans, but really, this guy is a bread and butter. Play other wreckers with him, which is really, really cool to see. So, good design, boys. Again, over at Vector Sigma. Good times. So, Dave, I'm spinning the roulette wheel. What character are we going to talk about next?
Right, it's one of my favourite characters from the universe. It's Slipstream, the Spy for Hire. She is a plain and ranged, amazing artwork again. 3/11/2, she's 6 stars. When you flip to this mode, your opponent reveals a card at random from their hand. If it has 2 or more battle icons, scrap it. Otherwise, each of your Decepticons gets +1 attack until the end of the turn. Now for me, Slipstream should never have been as hard as she was to get hold of. Like, even now, she still commands a reasonable dollar/pound value if you want to buy her on the secondary market, particularly if you want to buy the original art. So it's nice that they've given us a slipstream. There's only one thing I'm sad about, and Dan already knows about this. She's not a Seeker. Not a Seeker. Should be a Seeker. I know that they gave me the reasons, and it's
there's a reason. There's a real big reason in this set. Why?
Exactly, and it's so she wasn't busted.
Yep.
And it opened design space for future design as well. So for me, I think she's solid. The stats are slightly less than what we've seen for the other 6-star characters. But she's still really good for 6 stars. 11 health is still really strong. And that's an amazing flip ability. How many multicolour cards are, like, most decks are now multi-pip cards, let's face it. So that's pretty much flip and scrap. And if you get unlucky and hit a monocolour card or a blank, I'll just pump everybody.
Yeah.
Seems good. Her and Airstrike Patrol?
Yeah, it can be really, really interesting now. Having her in Airstrike Patrol can open up some really interesting design aspects for them, because instead of playing Starscream Air Commander, you can play this. Opens up a ton more stars as well. So 4 additional stars to basically play with. That's pretty strong compared to Air Commander. Like, there's some shenanigans afoot.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Definitely. You can play the entire patrol and slipstream and still have Villainous Spotlight.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably build something like this. Everyone knows I love planes and range, so you're probably gonna see this on the channel at some point, guaranteed. When we can get back to filming and all that jazz. Like, I absolutely love it. So, Dave, please tell me what she does in bot mode.
She just goes down to ranged, 4, 11, 1. So drops an armor, gains an attack. Focus 1 again. Again, we've got another character with focus here. When this attacks and your opponent has 1 or fewer cards in hand, this gets +2 until the end of battle. That's really cool. There's a lot of really good hand disruption cards, aren't there? That we've got espionage, counter espionage. They're commonly played. We've seen hand disruption become more prevalent with the Menasor deck. So people are starting to think, actually, disruption and disruptive entrance are pretty good as well. Obviously, if you're not playing in ATP events and you're allowed security checkpoint, that's a back-breaking discard card. I think she's going to be cool.
Yeah, I really like her. Obviously, the artwork is incredible. It's obviously from the that's from the San Francisco pack, isn't it?
No, I can't remember, but it's very, very spicy.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like, she'll be seen play. Like, Dave and me are probably going to put her in some decks for shenanigans. Like, a 6-star plane that just has that many abilities is really, really cool. So, yeah, again, good job, Vector Sigma. Very, very strong. A very solid spy for hire. Because you could even hilariously throw in some mercs with her because she's so cheap, and some fun shenanigans. Like, dude, so good. So good. Like, I like it. I like it a lot. Right. Spinning the roulette wheel. We're coming to one of my favorite characters of all time, thanks to IDW. An absolute douchebag. An absolute conqueror of worlds. Technically, he did conquer a world and build a gladiator planet, pretty much of that. And that is Overlord Sadistic Phase 6er. Now, this guy I got to playtest, and he has changed multiple different times because of playtesting. And it was so much fun playing this guy. So much fun playtesting with this guy. But anyway, he is, guys, 14 stars. In alt mode, he is a tank, plain and ranged. He has 6 attack, 18 health, and 3 armor. And in his text box, it says, your deck can have up to 3 extra stars of differently named cards with 1 or fewer battle icons. That's just the first part, guys. And then when you flip to this mode, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Put all cards with exactly 1 star revealed this way into your hand and scrap the rest. This guy is hilariously, phenomenally fun. Like, playtesting him was a ton of fun. Pulling off that ability when you hit your extra star cards was game-changing. And it felt right just because Overlord is a nutter and ridiculously powerful. And he has an incredibly strong ability. But he is 14 stars, guys. So that is pretty much exactly half your team. Like, he's a powerhouse. Dave, your thoughts?
Incredible. He's ruling the roost of the ATP events. I believe he was in first place this weekend. So he's very, very good from that. He's doing what they wanted him to do, which was be bloody good. Double trait, tank plane. What's the first battle card that springs to mind?
Two-pronged attack. Love that card.
Exactly. I think it's really good. He's got 3 armor. He's got, he's a beastly. And effectively, you're getting a 3-star discount on your team because you can put 3 different stars in, 3 different star cards.
With 1 or fewer battle icons. So the one that I ran with this guy, which only came up once but was devastating for my opponent in testing, was Vandalize. I played Vandalize, caught my opponent off in playtesting, and he was like, what the heck does that card do? And I was like, it's going to make you cry really bad, man. I'm sorry. I am sorry, but I'm Overlord. I have to be a douche. And it's really interesting because obviously there's so many interesting non-battle-pipped star cards, and this opens up the aspect of playing those cards, which I think is phenomenal because when you think about some of the star cards that are have no pips, they're incredibly powerful, but then you're taking a risk because they have no pips. But playing those star cards with Overlord is very rewarding. And also, him and Skywarp Wave 2 are hilarious buddies.
Oh, definitely.
Hilarious buddies.
Definitely. You think of some of the single pip or fewer star cards that I really get. Leap of Faith's awesome. Vandalize, like you said. UNA, Universal Network Access. That's a great card to rip from this. Bolt of Lightning, another really good card. Wave 2 did introduce the star card, didn't it? And it introduced some really solid ones. But there's some other great ones. There's countless 1-star cards that are really good. And because you're only generally playing 1 or 2 copies of these cards, you don't really see them that consistently. So anything that makes you get those powerful cards into your hand easier is going to be very strong. So I think he's awesome from that perspective. What's he doing in bot mode? Because we've only talked about the tank. We're not even in bot mode yet.
When he goes to bot mode, guys, he becomes an even crazier ability, which I freaking love. Now, obviously, Overlord, if you've read the comics, guys, you know what he does. He is a badass. If you haven't read the comics, I think you should just pause this podcast and go buy those comics or Wikipedia him. Just simple. But read the comics, they're much better. In this mode, in bot mode, he is a tank, plane, and ranged. So what he does, guys, rather well, is he just keeps the same traits from alt mode, which is incredible for some of the cards that we mentioned just previously about his alt mode. His attack goes down by 1 and goes to 5, and his armor goes down to 2. So obviously he's got better stats when he's in vehicle mode, but he makes up for that for all the text in his text box, guys. Right. This gets +1 attack for each character in a player's KO area. He also gets Bold 1 and Focus 1, and after you flip battle cards for this character's attack, and before the defense flips, you may play one of your flipped cards with exactly 1 star. So what he has, effectively, guys, is a Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend ability, but with star cards. And we've mentioned a few of them already. Bolt of Lightning, that's incredible. Vandalize, that's incredible. The list goes on. Dave, your thoughts on this guy?
Well, he's just bloody good.
He's a ruddy good character.
Ruddy good. There's nothing like I don't know. It's like I can't find fault with this character. He's insanely good. Keeping tank and plane again. That's kind of like following suit from what Windsweeper did in Wave 5. So it's nice to see that they're taking that design method forward with some of their future characters. He drops an attack in this mode. But once he starts killing people, and he will, because he's Overlord, he gets, his attack goes up. So, if they're 3 or 4 wide and you're down to an Overlord versus their last man standing and you've killed their other 3 characters, and if they've got headmasters, even more, bowl 1, again, focus 1, really, really cool ability. And yeah, like you said, the OPBL style, So if you miss that star card on your flip back to alt mode, you might get it on your next flip when he comes in bot mode. And also showing off with this guy. Oh, that's going to be great. Dig, dig, dig. Oh, I didn't get it. I might get it when I attack. Oh, there you go. I'll flip for turn and, bosh. There it is.
The card that I loved with this guy, which I pulled off multiple times in this mode, but obviously when I played him, the text box changed quite a bit, just giving you guys a heads up. He still had the ability of flipping, and if you could do on your attack or defense flips, you can play one of the star cards. Incoming transmission with this guy is incredible, just because you can plan on your defense and on your attack what you want to do. It's so good. Like, he's great, and it's great to do a character justice, because Overlord isn't a guy you want to bump into in a dark alley. He's not a nice guy, and he hasn't got a nice ability, and I think it's great. It just fits his character down to a T.
Definitely. He's not the first fan set to do Overlord either. I think there's 3 iterations now, and I think this is my favourite, because he's just bonkers good. I love that stuff. Anything that gets more star cards in decks, because you don't see enough of them, do you, really? Villainous Spotlight and Heroic Spotlight pushed a few more in the game, but you still only maybe see 1 or 2. So anything that puts more of these really cool cards in the game, I think is a good thing. I love it. I'm definitely playing him. Definitely.
100%. He's going to see the table. He's just such a great character. So, with that being said then, Dave, let's get straight into the next one. The roulette wheel is spinning. What are we going to reveal next?
I think we're now on the same page. I think I've worked out what it was. There's 2 different character sizes. We've got the standard character size, which your laptop appears at first, and then there was 3 small characters. I've done the 3 small characters, so now I'm on to Ransack, the Hungry for Battle. So I think we've the stars have aligned. We're back in sync. This is really cool to see, because he's one of my favourite teams. I know you love them as well. This is an Insecticon, and again, he's a specialist.
Another one, guys. Another one. Specialist in the set.
It's just, I think Neil put a little counter up for how many specialists we've got. He's 3. He's 12. He's 2, 3, 12. 2. Great stat line. 8 stars. Your deck can have up to 1 extra star of cards for each other Insecticon on your starting team. That's hella good. When you flip to this mode, scrap an upgrade from this. For each battle icon on the upgrade scrap this way, your opponent chooses one of their characters and does 1 damage to it. Whoa. I'll eat my Scoundrel's Blaster, choose one of your guys, and I'll shoot for 2. And then if you can get a 3 colour upgrade, Tawny.
It's so good. I feel like it's interesting that we finally get an Insecticon actually behave like an Insecticon. Because Insecticons, all they do is eat things and smile. And this really plays like what Insecticons did in the show and in the comics. Turn up, eat things, and do damage to stuff. And it's super cool. That top ability of your deck has up to 1 extra star of cards for each other Insecticon on your starting team. Just brings back bugs to the forefront. Very similar to what we're trying to do with our set. So it's going to be interesting, because I have more shenanigans now, Dave. I have more shenanigans.
You have even more shenanigans. Oh my god.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
I know.
What have we done? What have we done?
But ours, I don't think, is too busted, because it's bringing back a bug that is... not that great.
No.
So hopefully, I think there's some good synergy between that and this card. So I'm looking forward to trying it out.
definitely. I think this is really cool. And again, it's pumping more of those cool cards that you don't really see an awful lot of into the game. So I think that's a really cool alt mode. In bot mode, he is Insecticon Melee, so another character that's changing the trait, which is cool. 4 attack and 1 armor, so slightly increased and decreased as you'd expect. And then when this attacks, flip 1 more battle card for each other Insecticon on your starting team. He's a mini kickback.
Well, they look very similar, so he has to be a mini kickback.
Yeah, I like it. So the way I'm seeing it, this is kind of wanting to be bringing orange bugs back.
Yeah.
Whereas the it's kind of cool because if you think about what we're doing, it's kind of helping both, but really mainly blue bugs. We're trying to give the blue bug team a bit of a buff. So this is really cool. You can run this guy and kickback and wave 1 scrapnel. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I'm so glad bugs are going to be coming back onto the table, even though for a very long time everyone was like, sod bugs, I don't want to see them. They've kind of literally been hiding in the shadows, and it's kind of nice to bring them back. I know, they had their time and everyone wants them to die, but Insecticons are very iconic. So are Dinobots, and if you think about it, ATP have brought Dinobots back from the dead, and they still see play. Hopefully this bug brings back more bugs back to the table. I definitely know I never really played bugs until our set and trying to make them work. So it's really cool to see bugs, hopefully get back on the table, because it's been quite, shall we say, headmaster and other character types, shall we say, more than the forever old Wave 1 Insecticons, bless them. So yeah,
definitely. I think they do deserve to still be played. Yeah, they were really good. They had, like you say, they had their time, but they're kind of fallen out of favour because they're just more efficient teams. So anything that can pull them back, I'm up for that. And they were kind of like my first, what I'd say, competitive deck. When I used to get smashed to bits by my mate's prime Battlefield Legend deck, and when I first started playing, I was like, this is nonsense. I need a good team, and I chose bugs, and then very quickly they stopped being as good. So yeah, brilliant job, guys, love it.
Awesome sauce. So next, holy crap, how beautiful is this artwork on our next character, guys? Just because a movie got released, and spoilers, it was obvious if you know. Godzilla vs. King Kong. Super excited to finally get around to watching that in the next couple of days. But we're talking about Snapdragon, ruthless combatant. Now, he is a mercenary, guys. He is 12 stars. He is a beast, and he is melee. He has 7 attack, 16 health, and 1 armor in alt mode. He has sturdy, which is obviously the keyword that ATP have created. He has tough 1 as well. So sturdy 1 and tough 1. That's amazing, just because, he's a big dinosaur. He's a mecha dinosaur. What more do you want in life? Now, the kicker is here. Other characters can't be repaired, and damage counters can't be moved from enemies to other characters. I believe this guy, this robot lizard, is the Stone Cold Steve Austin to all the shenanigans that are planes and horrible. Because everyone knows when you play planes and horrible, sometimes it can be rather dumb.
You're dumb. You're dumb.
Just because of all the damage they do to themselves, but then they end up healing that because they just transfer it onto you. Snapdragon, incredible. 12-star mercenary. Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, he's definitely the middle finger, isn't he, for horrible. Planes less so, because planes aren't really a top tier thing, but horrible. You look at most tournaments now, like you still see Horrible played a lot. He featured heavily in the ATP Bayformers crossover event. You know, he's in the top. He was in the winning deck. You know, Horrible's still horrible. He's dumb, like you said. So yeah, it's great. Sturdy's a fantastic ability. I went against it recently against Menasor on the Hustlers. And it's a really, really good ability because it shuts down a lot of things. You know, he can't be pinged. He can't be armed hovercraft. You know, it's really, really strong. And just reducing each enemy's attack damage by 1, it's quite innocuous, but it's actually really powerful. And tough, you know, blue's not as relevant as it maybe was back at sort of wave 3-4, but tough is still nice to have on there. And he's got Beefcake's health, and look at that health, 16.
And say it with me, Beefcake!
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 16.
And 7 attack. Chunky.
So good. So good. Right. So, with his alt mode out the way, super good. Let's get to his bot mode. So, obviously he's transformed, and again, a whole different trait, guys. So, obviously, in alt mode, he was a beast, he was melee. In bot mode, he is now ranged. He keeps 7 attack. He goes, he still has 16 health, but he goes up by 1 with his armor to 2, which is rather cool. Now, there is a lot of text in this box, guys, so just be prepared. So, the first bit is, when your opponent draws 1 or more cards, if they've already drawn a card this turn, your opponent scraps a card from their hand. The second bit is, when this does enough attack damage to KO an enemy, use this character's bounty ability. And obviously, because he's a merc, he's got a bounty ability, guys. And the bounty ability is choose a weapon, armor, or utility. Return all enemy upgrades of that chosen type on an enemy to their owner's hand. Wowzers. Wowzers.
Yeah, he's really good. I think it's really nice to see mercs being made still, because we've seen it many times. Mercs just got forgotten, so it's really cool to see them coming back. I really like this guy's bounty ability. I think it's cool, it's different to what we've had before. That's quite powerful as well. You know, I'll kill this guy and return all your weapons.
And there's multiple ways of triggering bounties multiple times now.
There is, particularly with Bayformers. Yeah. We've got the name of the card escapes me, but you've got to put it on screen now. But that card where you get an extra trigger off bounty is really, really cool. He's just really good, isn't he? He's solid. He's 12-star wrecking machine, and it's nice that we've got a accessible, high power mercenary that people can just print and play. Because not everyone has got the money for Octone. He's still quite expensive.
He's free though.
Well, he's free. He's free if you do what you do.
You're free if you're Lee.
Yeah, he's free if you're Lee. But if you're Dave and you hate money, he's not free. But I got my Octone for a fair price. But like, it's nice to see a free print and play. Because some people still, like collectors, still want the real deal. And Octone isn't a cheap card to get your hands on. Even if you get him in you know, inverted commas, cheap. Like he was still like nearly £50. So you know, great print and play, high power mercenary that does something a little bit different to Octone as well. So I really like him. I think both modes are solid. I really like that hand disruption ability, because there's quite a lot of obnoxiously good card draw cards available in the game now. Making them scrap a card off they draw 1 or more cards is really good. You know, it makes them less card advantage for people that love kind of, like, you know, Claire's gonna hate that. You know, she loves pocket processors in every deck. Draw 1, scrap 1 from your hand, please. She's gonna hate it. She's gonna punch me. But no, he's fantastic, guys. Really love him. Really do. I think he's outstanding for his style cost.
I love him. And even if you don't play with the Bayformers fun stuff, which they've put obviously a ton of work into all the Merc stuff, like playing him in a mixed team, having, you know, the horrific Repair 3, Pierce 3 cards, if you run Decepticon and you run Autobot, it's just horrible. Like, you'll just keep this guy around for ages. Oh gosh, he's going to be fun. I think there's going to have to be some sort of mecha hilarious shenanigans going on, Dave, with you and me.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
100% with this guy.
Another kaiju battle.
But a baby kaiju, because he's obviously not as big as the other things, I don't think. Is he big? I don't even know if Snapdragon's like the size of Trypticon. I don't know.
I don't think he is. What we could do, and this would be really cool, we could do Snapdragon versus Optimus Primal from Randy's Beast Wars set. That'd be awesome. Because then we could have Godzilla versus Kong, but Transformers.
There we go. I think that needs to happen.
I think it does need to happen. And it will be, you know, if you've watched our previous episode, it'll be coming to Twitch soon.
Yeah, it will. We've got some hilarious themed showdowns.
Definitely.
Which is going to be a ton of fun.
It's where you're going to be bringing back the Deck Tech Challenge, aren't you, with a twist?
Yeah, there's going to be some fun stuff. And hopefully get all the community buzzing to be a part of that as well, which we're super excited for. So, Dave, who have you got, mate?
Well, it's one of my favourites. It's one of the original toys I had. And it's Starscream, the Covetous Crony. What a name.
Great name.
Because he really was a covetous crony, wasn't he? He's a real gitbag. A real gitbag.
Someday I'll be giving the orders, Rumble. You'll do what I say. Look, Starscream, Megatron is strong. He's merciless. He can't be beaten. And you'll never be our leader. I will find a way. Everyone has a weakness. Yeah? Well, not Megatron. We shall see.
Love him or hate him, he's so iconic, you know. He's one of my faves. So this guy is a Seeker, which is their new trait from ATP2. Plane, and he's ranged as you'd expect a plane to be, unless he's Ramjet who likes flying through buildings. He's 5'15", he has 12 stars. When you flip to this mode, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Put each card revealed that has no battle icons into your hand. Scrap the rest. For each card that is scrapped, one of your planes or seekers gets bold 1 to the end of turn. Well, that's rather spicy. So you can either use it to dig for cards if you're going to play the blank pip cards. And you already touched on Wave 2 Skywarp earlier, didn't you?
Yep.
Or you could just go, I'm not going to bother with any blank cards whatsoever, and I'm just going to give a guaranteed bold 3 on the flip back to alt mode. Yeah, that's spice.
It is super cool because there's an upgrade everyone forgets. That was Starscream's null rate, which gives him bold 2. You can put it in this deck and it will annihilate people. Because if you get this off right, that's bold 5. And if your opponent hasn't put the tech in to stop you flipping all cards and all that shenanigans.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Bye-bye whoever you're attacking, because it could get really, really brutal.
Yeah. It's really cool to see a good Starscream as well. Like, Starscream's one of those funny characters in the Wizards of the Coast sort of design, where he was always kind of all right. You know, you had Air Commander who was kind of all right, but not great. You had Captain who was all right, but not great. You know, King can be really, really cool if you build him right, and particularly if you're using some of the other fan sets. King Starscream is a boss, and we're doing stuff to help him out as well. But, you know, kind of the Wizards of the Coast iterations always fell a little bit short, didn't they? Never really top tier. I think this guy's nuts.
And we haven't even talked about his bot mode, because his bot mode's even more ridiculous. But just the fact that we've touched on it, there's so many different ways of bold. Also, lock on target. There's another big thing. You could get bold machine, should we say? We could with Starscream, which is phenomenal. And it just feels right because we need a good Starscream other than King. Like, all the other Starscreams aren't bad, don't get me wrong. And King was incredible, don't get me wrong. But you need the iconic characters to at least have one standout. But it's finally good to see a very scary Starscream. And I know I'm going to play him. I know Dave's going to play him. And for me, he just basically makes me smile from ear to ear. I absolutely love it. So, Dave, let's talk about the amazingness, or shall we say craziness, of his bot mode.
Indeed. He keeps the Seeker trait. He's still ranged. Goes up to 6 attack, and the other stats stay the same. So he's still got 2 defense, which is really cool. When you flip to this mode, draw a card, then plan 1. That's insanely good. So he's doing stuff on the flip for both modes. Showing off is going to be nuts on this guy. When one of your Seekers attacks and you flip at least 1 card with no battle icons, do 1 damage to each non-Seeker character. So that's really cool as well. So if you think back to ATP2 with Dirge, who like the blank pips, I like it. I think he's really cool. You can build it either which way. You know, you can go the blank pip route. You can go I'm going to go hella bold, whatever. You know, like very, very good. And anything that draws cards is always strong in my opinion. Card advantage is king. Plan, you don't really see a lot of plan, do you? Plan doesn't really get played an awful lot because you had the odd thing here and there. But on the whole, plan was one of those abilities that was forgotten. So I think it's nice that they put something with plan, and it's kind of a little nod to the king.
Yeah, and it's kind of a nod to Starscream as well, because he always wanted to plan how he would take over and how he would always scheme. So it's a nice nod to how the character is in obviously the TV show and the comic. I just love it. This guy was one of my favorite cards to test, but again, kind of very similar. He went through very different iterations during the testing phase. Man, I love this guy to death. I think it's phenomenal just because it's Starscream being a douche, and it's a really good douche card. And it's super cool. Like, everyone knows my love for ranged and planes, so you know I'm going to be very biased here. Kind of similar to like Dave's love for cars. Like, this guy's phenomenal. Like, to me, he's probably one of the best characters in this set, but there is pretty much every single character we've talked about is insanely good. Like, I really don't think there is a poor character, to be honest, like in this set that we've reviewed so far. So good job, ATP Wave 3. Absolutely knocking it out of the ballpark, man. Love this. Right. Dave, I get to talk about a card that I spoil on my channel.
You do.
So I've kind of already told you guys about this. If you want to go watch that video, you can pause that. Go watch that view. Give me a view. Give me a like. I would always appreciate it. But anyway, welcome back. We're talking about Wheeljack.
Wheeljack. Why the f*** did you build the Dinobots with small brains?
Simple brains, Optimus.
Whatever. They nearly destroyed our headquarters. You endangered the lives of all of your fellow Autobots.
And humans, too!
Shut up, Spike. I want answers.
Well, it kind of goes like this, Optimus. I mean, the Dinobots are robot dinosaurs, right?
Continue.
And when we went to the museum with Spike, we learned that dinosaurs have simple brains, right?
Affirmative.
So the Dinobots are just like real dinosaurs.
Explain.
They got simple brains.
That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard.
What? I wanted them to be authentic.
Vector Sigma. No one in any of your shit ever works.
Hey, Wheeljack! I bet real dinosaurs had metal skin too!
You, Huffer.
In alt mode, guys, he's a wrecker, he's a car, he's a specialist. There's 2 traits that Dave loves. Specialist in cars, guys. In alt mode, he's got 4 attack, 14 health, and 2 armor. Now, here's something that Dave's going to fall in love with. Right, in the text box, guys, it says, while you have no other cards on the battlefield, this has bold 2. So he becomes aggressive when there's no more cars on the field. That's pretty awesome. And also, when you flip to this mode, scrap the top card of your deck. Then you may do 1 damage to one of your wreckers to play that card. Wowzers.
Yeah.
Day.
Well, what can I say? He's a car. He's the same cost as his Wave 1 version, which is 9. He's different, isn't he? You know, like, he wants to be the last man standing. Again, that synergy with Crappy Cup, if we want to call him that. You know, I like that. I just like anything that pushes a tribe, in my opinion, is good. Particularly when it's my favourite tribe, which is cars. So, yeah, he's just really solid at 9 stars. And he doesn't necessarily have to go in the car deck either. He could go in the wrecker build. I love I love his kind of field comp ability of when you flip back to this mode, scrap the top card of your deck. Then if it's naff, you go, nah, I don't know, I'm not going to bother. If it's really good, I'll ping, +1 off cup, I'll play that card. Love it. Brilliant.
So good. And also the fact is, which I really like as well, is what you stated there, Dave. You can play him in a car build, get that cool value going. But also the fact is, when you look at the other wreckers, there's no other cars. So if you play him in a wreckers build, he's always going to have bold 2 in this mode. So that's kind of a little nod to obviously Wave 1 Wheeljack, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I like it. And the artwork is boss boys. Super good.
Yeah, all the artwork in this set has been good.
So, in bot mode, he is a wrecker. He is specialist still. He's no longer a card because obviously he's transformed into bot mode. Now, his stats are 5 attack and 1 armor. So, obviously, goes down in armor, goes up in attack. But the kicker is in the text box, guys. While this is your only character on the battlefield, he has +3 attack and +1 armor. So effectively, if he is the last one surviving, he goes up to 8 attack and 2 armor. Obviously, he has 14 health, but 8 attack for being the last one standing. That's incredible. That's incredible.
It's nuts. Especially when you look at the picture and he's beating someone to death with a piece of Lego.
Yeah.
It's got the old Lego clip there.
Love
That's
it.
so cool.
They're wrenches, but Lego. We love it.
Yeah. I think, he's really good. Obviously, if your opponent sees this guy on the board, he's going to target him. He kind of fits the theme of some of the other cards we've had. Like, look at Cliffjumper and that. He wanted to be the last card standing. He's really, really cool. Like you say, 8 attack. That's nuts. That is nuts. But again, just remember, guys, top-end tournament play.
Top-end tournament play.
Yeah. Unless you're me and you're rubbish.
Us filthy casuals here don't know how to play tournament decks. That's all we're saying is all. No, I think he's great. It's awesome that he has the Wrecker trait because obviously he does have a stint in the Wreckers. But that's shown throughout all the set. There's a fair few Wreckers in this set. And it's cool to have another Wheeljack because it was a lot of pressure, I'm not going to lie, when I had to reveal it, because Wheeljack is Dan's favourite character. So, yeah, I think Dan's made a pretty awesome Wheeljack, and we've seen it in the tournament just gone. Wheeljack was in a few of the decks that made the top 8. So, yeah, he seems a thing, guys. So, Dave, last character, and then we can do an overall summary and then get straight into the battle cards. So, who is the final character in this
We've already mentioned this guy earlier, so I don't think this guy in his Wizards iteration ever shone. And it is Whirl, the lunatic aerialist. He is a wrecker. Here we go again, another wrecker. He's a helicopter, and he's ranged. 5, 14, 2 for 10 stars. A much nicer star cost than the Wizards version, which was 12. Pierce 3. That's the only ability he's got, but he's a chopper, and he's going to pierce you. Vastly improved. Just looking at this side, vastly improved from the Wizards version.
Yeah, we can say the unfortunate Wizards design of Whirl was dumb.
You're dumb. You're dumb.
Like that, he's got a very big fan following. Whirl has. And Wizards did a great job of you blew it is the best way of describing it. It seems to be all these niche characters Wizards just dropped the ball on, like Springer, but they eventually corrected that. Blitzwing, Whirl. The list can go on. But hey, the game's no longer a thing, so golf claps go to Wizards for screwing up fan-beloved characters. But yeah, this guy is incredible. I really like him. He seems... I think for 10 stars, they're decent stats for a 10-star thing, but I believe it's his other side which makes up for the value of his 10-star cost. So Dave, what does he do in bot mode, bro?
He drops the helicopter trait, obviously. He's a specialist. So these are to put up. How many specialists are in the set now? And that is a fair few. He's 6, 14, 1, so increases in the attack, drops in armor. When you flip to this mode, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add an upgrade revealed this way to your hand, and scrap the rest. That is value, value, value. Oh, I need a grenade launcher, I've got one. And it's very themed for World because he was a bit of a nutter.
100%. And just to let you guys know, there are 6 cards out of the 11 characters that are specialists. So a decent number of, should we say, half the characters have the specialist trait. I love this just because it's another way of ramping overwhelming advantage out on the board, but you're playing Whirl. That's
it's really cool.
Overwhelming advantage with Whirl? That sounds like an insane thing to say out loud, but such a possibility because of this card.
Yeah, it's just the value of digging, isn't it? Digging. Look at the top 3 cards. Take one into your hand, scrap the rest. That is a strong ability. It's not drawing a card as well, so it circumvents some of the naughtiness that they've put in as well against card draw. I really like it. You know, how often when you're playing aggro and you're down to sort of like, you know, you're at the mercy of the top deck, and you know, if I draw a grenade launcher or a fusion bore here, I'm set. Flip Whirl, dig. There you go, boom. Far superior. I think this is the Whirl that Wizards should have given us rather than the cack that they did. That's it, really. Enough said, I think.
Yeah, I love this Whirl. And to be honest, they're all the characters, and I have to admit, I love every single character here. I don't think there is a single bad un amongst them, should we say. But obviously, from the get-go, Dave and me have told you, ATP definitely focus on the competitive nature. So if you are going to do cross-pollination with these guys, and you want to not make people cry, just be aware, you might be in for a scare.
You will beware, you're in for a scare.
Because there's a Goosebumps line. It's well good. But yeah, I really like them. There's some really interesting ones that made me go, who the heck is that character? Let's go look them up on good old Wikipedia and then look at comic books, etc. But it's great to see the inclusion. Really, across the board, we've got some love for helicopters. We've got some love for the Wreckers. We've got some love for Insecticons. We have a beloved character in Overlord who is incredibly powerful. We've got boat love. That's really weird to say out loud. We've got some mercenaries love in this. We've got an incredible Starscream. You know, it's just so good. It's the characters are very, very strong and very, very good. Dave, your thoughts?
I think you nailed it, mate. It's giving the fans of Transformers, the Wreckers, lover. You know, I know you're not a massive fan. I am, and to have Wreckers that I want to play with is really, really cool. To have decent Seekers and Slipstream, you know, like just some more good planes, just some more good stuff. Yeah, it's good. Like, they're all very good. They're all decks you'd happily characters you'd happily slide into a deck for a tournament. And if you look at some of the top 8s of the ATP tournament series, they're always varied, aren't they? And one of the good things they're doing is they're injecting new life into that tournament format. Because I think that's where the game can get stale the quickest, is at the tournament end. Because particularly when you're playing the best deck again, aren't you? Sky Shadow. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, well, we all know our opinion on Sky Shadow. He's dumb.
Yeah, he is dumb.
You're dumb.
He is dumb. But to have something that's going to inject fresh life into it, and this set's been out for a while now, so it has done exactly what they wanted it to do, and that is to breathe a breath of fresh air into their tournament series. So I think that's really cool. We're starting to play more tournament decks badly, I might add, on the Energon Hustlers. So we're doing Tournament Tuesdays now. We're doing that semi-regularly. It's nice to have these high-end cards. I mean, Claire, we said it recently. We speak of Sky Shadow, who's dumb. We did Sky Shadow versus Menasor, and we were both like, wow, that was really fun to play with those decks. It's not something I'd bring to down my local on a casual night, but it's really nice to play with those cards. So I think to have that tournament format refreshing itself every sort of 2 to 3 months, there has been criticism that there's too much coming out, but I think in a competitive environment that is fine. because it keeps it vibrant. Look at Magic the Gathering. They release sets, every 3 months?
Yep. Yeah, they do.
So the ATP are following a similar kind of model. Every quarter will inject some new life into the tournament scene, because ultimately no one wants to play or watch, because the big thing nowadays is the spectating of tournaments. Dan is always streaming. There's always stuff going on sort of live as it's happening. People don't want to watch the same old decks, do they, mate? They want to watch vibrant new decks.
100% true, and it's kind of cool to see that, because obviously other fan creators are doing tournaments now, creating other sets. Other people are creating sets that they want to do, like cross mixing with ATP and stuff like that. The community is really well, but that's like one thing Dave and me have said, and I know Christian said it on a few podcasts alone. You could pick and choose the sets you want to play. You don't have to play everything. Dave and me do, because what are we? Oh yeah, we're gluttons for punishment. So we will want to play everything. But obviously there's people out there who just play ATP stuff. There's only people out there who just play ARC stuff, and probably only people who just play Bayformers stuff. But we love a little bit of everything, and with these characters, I love it. Like, they put Overlords, and a really scary good Overlord in the game. So just got to tip my hat to you, Dan, and the creative team over there, and all the guys who put all those hours of testing in. I didn't put as many hours in as some of them that I know, but holy cow, these characters came out absolutely phenomenal. So, that's 11 characters in the books. Let's get straight into the battle cards. There are only 9. And we're going to kick things off with the first one, which is called Armored Assault. It is an orange pip. It is an action. It is a common card, guys. And it says one of your characters gets +2 until the end of turn. So +2 attack until the end of turn. If it has an armor, it also gets bold 1 until the end of turn. Now, the one thing why I keep saying about the rarity of these cards is because, if you did not know, Vector Sigma have created a format called Junkion, where all you're allowed to use is commons. This card is a common card, which is probably going to see some play in Junkion. Dave, your thoughts?
I spoiled this card. It's a good card. It's really, really, like you said, for Junkion, it's a really solid thing. You don't see many orange pip plus attacks.
No.
You don't. They're mainly blue. With the exception of Reckless Charge, which is a +4 attack and then 3 damage at the end of the turn. You've got stuff like Supercharge, Fight for Position, which is bold, but that's a strategy that can be shut down with sideboarding. This is just a straight +2 attack. And then, if I've got a Bashing Shield or a Force Field, which are common cards to see play, I get bold 1 as well. Solid. It's just solid. It's going to see play in aggro decks. It'd be interesting to see if it breaks into like the full constructed and stuff. I don't know if it's powered quite there with some of the other choices you've got, but it's a very, very solid Junkion card.
100%. It's very good. I think it's great. I see it going in a Bugs deck just because of +2 attack and a bold 1. You're not gonna complain too much about that. So, Dave, moving on to the second card then, sir.
So the card is, for card number 2, is Aura of Dominance. It's a white pip utility that gives bold 1 and tough 1. It's a star card as well. And when you put this on the character that has 11 stars or more, your opponent scraps a card from their hand. Then your opponent chooses one of their upgrades and scraps it, and it provides +2 health. That's nuts. It is a star card, so you'd expect it to be good. But yeah, that's crazy value, isn't it?
There is one character who loves this. And we talked about him earlier. Overlord loves this card.
Of course he does.
Absolutely loves this card, because you can just include it in your deck for free. But also, looking at this, 11 stars or more for 1 additional star. Looking at other characters that Dave and me enjoy playing, like most of the Primes love this. Magnus loves this. Galvatron loves this. Most of the Megatrons, some of the Starscreams, Major Shockwave, like the list goes on. All the characters that are 11 stars or more, and if you can hilariously fit this in, you might need to, because it's a very, very good utility.
It really is. Like, it does an awful lot for 1 star. It really is bloody good. You know, if it didn't have the bold 1 and tough 1, it's still on the +2 health, it'd still be playable. But because it does do all that as well, yeah. Like you say, Overlord loves it, and effectively he's playing this card for free. But it's clever that they made it a white pip though, so it can't just be shoehorned into a Spotlight deck, so you know, it can't just go into Vanilla Spotlight or Heroic Spotlight decks. So I like that. That's good. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, 100%. Really like that design aspect. Also, that it isn't searchable and stuff like that. I really like that as well.
Yes. What's next, mate? Card number 3.
Right up your alley. It's a secret action. It's called Despite Any Difficulty. It is a black and blue pip. It is a secret action. Got some bitchin' artwork of Brainstorm on there. That's a really cool piece of artwork. And it basically says, secret action, reveal when one of your characters defends. When revealed, the defender gets +1 armor until the end of battle for each different color among battle icons. You flip this battle up to +4. So this benefits you for running multi-pip crazy shenanigans.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
And it's a secret action, Dave. So I'll let you have a bit of a splooge, because you love your secret actions, mate.
I sure do. It's a reverse Master Metallicato, effectively. Not quite as good. Obviously, Master can give you +5 attack. This only gives you up to +4, but that is strong. You know, yeah, Pierce is still a thing. So Pierce probably makes this card less good than it would be in a world without the black pip. But I think it's still solid. Like, just out of nowhere, it's a surprise. Surprise +4 defense, potentially, is very, very good. I've used this card already. We used it in a recent Tournament Tuesday. It's a really good card.
Yeah, I just like it. It fits in a blue build, obviously, because you want higher defense. Also, black and blue, just perfect. Really good. Love it. Great design, guys. Really, really good. The next card, on the other hand, is bonkers, just saying. Dave.
Yeah, it's called Dogfight. It's a blank pip card. They're normally quite good, if I recall. It's move 1 damage from each of your Seekers to an enemy. And then if you have a melee character on the battlefield, scrap an enemy weapon. So it's a multi-role card. I always love these in Magic. And that kind of love for multi-use cards has kind of carried on into this game with some of these cards. It's a bombing run for Seekers, which is great because they don't necessarily have to be in plane mode. And then it's also an enforcement baton as well, if you've got like Ramjet, Thrust, Dirge, who are all melee, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
So no, fantastic, it's really good. And also synergizes nicely with the Starscream that they've just put in this set as well.
Yeah, so good, so good. I really like it. It's really cool, super theme. And the funniest thing about it is a Decepticon card. So there's a certain guy who can play this for free all the time. Good old Major Shockwave. Been looking at that guy recently. And he loves all his Decepticon shenanigan cards. Maybe, just because there's cheap Seekers out there, maybe that might be a build in the not too distant future, Dave. Just saying as well.
Yeah, and there's possibly why Slipstream didn't have the Seeker trait.
Possibly.
Most
definitely.
So as sad as it made me that she isn't a Seeker, you can see how she would just shoehorn into so many builds. So no, fantastic. It is a blank pip card, and it's worthy of the blank pip, I think, because it does quite a lot. You know, it's 2 cards in 1, effectively.
Yeah, 100%.
What's up next?
What's up next? We have the iconic weapon of a character I already reviewed with Harpoon Gun, which obviously, from the artwork, if you can't tell already, is the gun that is located on the arm of Impactor. It is an orange pip. It's an upgrade weapon. It gives you bold 1, pierce 1, and when the upgraded character attacks, if it is a wrecker, it gets +1 attack until the end of turn. When the upgraded character attacks, if it is a leader, it gets +1 attack until the end of turn. So here we go, guys, and it gives you +1 attack. So you put this on our boy Impactor, shall we say. You get +1 attack. He is a wrecker. He gets +1 attack. He's also a leader. he gets +1 attack. This becomes a +3, just a casual weapon with bold 1, pierce 1. It's pretty freaking good. But it's an iconic weapon. It's so iconic, obviously, because the harpoon gun he does so much damage with that in the comics. It's very iconic. You have to have it have a really cool ability. So I think they've done it definite justice here. So, Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's great. You know, one of the turbo-revving old punks is going to love this. That's Nezumi. Big shout out to you, bud. He tried to help wreck us out in our set, and that when we release the set, you'll see what we tried to do. So I think this is going to get shoehorned into a lot of Nezumi's builds. It's going to get in a lot of my builds. I love Impactor. It's just good. I think my next request for ATP is, can we have a Springer that's a wrecker as well, please? Yep.
I think that's what people are crying out for, but you never know. I know they're already playtesting Wave 4 even, sorry. I haven't had a chance to go on and playtest because we're playtesting our own stuff. So I might just have to drop in and be like, so what's kicking around the bucket here, guys? But yeah, absolutely love Harpoon Gun. Super solid. And the best thing is, it's an Autobot upgrade. So think of all the shenanigans you can run if you just wanted to run normal Jetfire with that hilarious stratagem. This cannot be scrapped and makes Impactor amazing.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Very good. And I like the fact, you know, it's obviously really good on Impactor, but it doesn't have to get on it. So unlike the Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime, which Wizards gave us, which was, this can only ever be held by Optimus Prime. Obviously, this is really good for Impactor, but you can also spread the love around, which I like. It means it's not just like, if you've already got on the board and you draw a second copy, it's not like a dud in your hand, as it were. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So, Dave, our next battle card, number 6.
Definitely one of the strongest battle cards, I think. Just because of what it does. It's the Howling Howitzer. It's a upgrade weapon. It's an orange for range, so you're going to love this. It's Black Pip, +2 attack, pierce 1, and it is common, so you're going to see it in Junkion as well. That's why I think this card is so good. It's really good pips. It's pierce 1 and +2 attack. You know, that's not like mega amazing, but everything else about the card is solid. Common, 2 pips. What do you think?
It's fantastic. You'll see it in a lot of range builds, I think. You might not even really give 2 monkeys about that range pip on the orange. Just to have a weapon that gives you pierce 1 and +2 attack, and it's a black pip. To a lot of people, that's an auto, including some horrific builds involving dumb characters.
You're dumb.
But I like it. I like it a lot. This might be put in a Blitzwing deck that I'm kind of building, Dave. I'm telling you now. Maybe.
You know, any card that has 2 pips is generally strong, and if it's got a tribal pip on it, you just build it around the tribe, and it's a 2-color card. As you know, it's going to be good. It's solid, and it is seeing play in builds that I've seen. You know, finishing the top 8. So another great card from them. And solid, dependable. We're going to see it everywhere.
We'll see it everywhere, I tell you. Oh, right. So the next card is a card that I spoiled as well, guys. Quite funny enough, it's called Never a Dull Moment. And I think I made the joke on the reveal that it is never a dull moment on our podcast as well as my YouTube channel. It is an orange pip. It is an action, and it states, you may do 1 damage to one of your wreckers. If you do, return a face-down enemy secret action to its owner's hand. If you have a specialist on the battlefield, your opponent scraps a card from their hand. This card is bananas, and it's common as well. So you'll see it in the Junkion format probably, but it's bananas. I absolutely love this. It basically Stone Cold Steve Austin's Dave's thoughts of secret actions. If you want to run wreckers, it really is manipulating your opponent's turn to basically go, nope, you're not allowed cool things because I'm going to do this, and stop you in your tracks. And again, it builds into the theme of doing 1 damage to wreckers, because obviously With Impactor, you want your wreckers to be damaged to gain extra bonuses, and open up the shenanigans with Energon Axe and other shenanigans as well.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Dave, your thoughts?
This is an incredible card. Rarity or not, or whatever or not, this is incredible. There's not an awful lot that interacts with secret actions once they're down. Counter espionage, you know, there's a, like, was it feedback or something like that? I don't know. There's a card, Wave 4, I think it was.
And the card you're thinking of, Dave, for Wave 4 is Decipher. It's a black and green pip action that states for each enemy secret action that's face up or face down, do 1 damage to each enemy.
Yeah, like, I wasn't even close on the name. I was not even close. But I think, you know, the other half of this card as well, if you have a specialist on the battlefield, your opponent grabs a card from the hand. So you can just play this as a hand disruption spell. So that's the old magic, the old magic talk coming back, Brovna. It's a multi-purpose card, and I like to see that in a card game where cards aren't necessarily a dud in your hand. You might not be able to get the full effect of it, but you can always just use this as a hand disruption card.
100%. I think it's really strong just because it has that wrecker ability, but also the other part to what you just said, Dave, is separate. So you might see this a lot in specialist builds, that people who don't want to run counter-espionage or espionage, or maybe you just add it to the hand again to just disrupt people and just make them cry. Like, just make them cry. That's the best thing. Sad violins, sad music, you name it. They'll just be really upset that you're playing. Never a dull moment. So, moving on, Dave. We have number 8. What is this card, broski?
This is my other spoiler card. This is the second of the battle cards I got spoiled. This is my favourite of the 2 I spoiled. This is Outflank. It's a blue pip action. Common again. Do 1 damage to a character. It gets +2 attack until the end of turn. Then, if a specialist was damaged this way, its owner draws a card. I touched on it in my spoiler video. This is again, it's a multi-role card. It's versatile. This is kind of like a zap, but also like steady shot with a zap, and triggers your Energon Axes and your Sergeant Cup or whatever other card you've got that likes being damaged. And then it cantrips as well if you've got a specialist. Bloody good.
It's a bloody good card. I think we've talked about the cards we spoil, haven't we? We've randomly somehow somehow got our cards that we spoil and talked about them on this podcast. But yeah, I love Outflank. I thought exactly like you, Dave. I think this is a reverse zap. It's very powerful to do it to yourself, but also to do it to your opponent. It's not too shabby. I really, really like it. It might replace one card that goes in my hilarious Wave 2 Bombshell draw deck, Dave, maybe. That deck is stupid, guys. It's undefeated. I can gladly smile from ear to ear and say, it's not lost. And I thank Madifer from Canada for giving me that challenge, because I've made an abomination. Oh, I love it. So
it's fun. It's fun. But yeah, again, multi-role card, and that's really good card design, I think. Something that has more than one function. Because yeah, the Transformers is quite unique in the fact that you've got the green pip, and you can normally chuck them away. If you've got a dud in your hand, you go, oh, I've got a handheld blast, I don't want that, I'll get rid of it. But there are times when, you know, you might draw it and it'll be your top deck for the turn. You're like, if it's a dud, if it's a complete dud. But whereas this, you've got lots of versatility. So I think it's cool. And there's always characters hanging back on 1 health, isn't there, Lee?
Always. There's always one with 1 health. Always.
I think we're at the end. Is this card 9, isn't it, of the battles?
This is card number 9, and this is a phenomenal card. We touched on it miles. Well, not miles. When we started jogging, shall we say, in this podcast. And this is called Valiant Effort. It's a white pip card. It is an action. And it says, one of your leaders gets +3 attack until the end of turn. If you have a ranged character on the board battlefield, do 1 damage to an enemy. So we've already talked about... what was he called?
Banzai-tron. Yeah, Banzai-tron.
Banzai-tron, and even I casually stated it with Dark Mount as well. yeah, I really like this card. Like, Megatron loves this card. A fair few other leaders who are ranged love this card, like Optimus Prime and a few others. You're going to see this if you're playing leaders. Like, this is phenomenal. Like, this is a really, really awesome card. And again, I love my ranged characters, so if I get to do a damage to an enemy, I love that, because like we stated probably not less than a minute ago, there's always someone on 1 health. Mainly that Bumblebee from Arc Wave 1, just saying. But yeah, I absolutely love this card. Dave, your thoughts?
Same as you. It's really good. I've used it actually with Dark Mount recently, because obviously the stratagem from ATP 1, Straxus Lives, gives him the leader trait. It's just good. It's, again, versatile. You know, so if your leader's dead, it can still shoot someone for 1 if you've got a ranged character, or you can get both effects. Love it. Just versatile. Yeah. What can you say? It's a leap into battle that's just better. You know, and it's a white pip as well, so it can go in aggro builds. It can also go in control builds, because it's white pip, which is nice. You don't see much pump at white. I think what, head-on collision. Can't think of many others. So yeah, it's nice to have another pump card for white. And yeah, I know you're just gonna shoot me with this with your stupid javelins and that. So yeah, I love it now. Ask me in a few months when you've played it a million times.
Yeah, we'll see. So those were the battle cards, guys. We got 9 cards in there. I feel like some of these. Dave, you've already said you started playing with them. I have not put any of them in my deck. So I'm going to kick it to you, bro, for someone who's probably played with these a lot more. What are your general overall thoughts on the battle cards? And then what ones have you really been playing with more than anything in your decks so far?
The ones I've used, Valiant Effort, Outflank, and despite any difficulty, they're all very me cards. I like my secret actions. I like. I've just said it about a million times already this podcast. I like cards that do more than one thing. So I think that's something that rings through with the majority of these cards. They have a multi-purpose role that they can fulfill in your deck, and there's never going to be a dead card if you've built your deck right. They're good. There's lots of nice commons, so they're keeping that Junkion focus as well, which I like. Unlike ATP2, where the bulk of the Junkion cards were star cards, these are really cool in the fact that they're not. In fact, I don't think any of them are star cards, are they?
Yes, there is one, the Aura.
Oh, the Aura of Dominance. The rest of them are non-star cards, so you're going to see them played a lot. They're all good. There's nothing. Looking at the pip breakdown, there's only 2 that are multi-pip as well, so they're being quite mindful, and this is something I was from talking to other designers as well. The people are very mindful of the power of Master Metallic Arto and Overwhelming Advantage. So it's nice to see that they haven't just chucked a load of like 3 pip cards in the set. No, I love it. I think they're really good, and they're going to do exactly what Dan and the boys over at ATP want in their events, and that's going to freshen up the format again.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely know Valiant Effort is going to go in a few of my builds. That might actually replace a card in my General Megatron deck that I might be playing Nezumi on Thursday of recording this podcast, because he's built a General General Megatron deck, and I've had one kicking around for ages. So we're going to have a General off to see what the diversity is in our deck. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I think they've been very mindful, because obviously the one thing we noticed about the Bayformers set, which I think is a bit of a scary thing, is there's a lot of tricolors in there, and there's a lot of possibilities for overwhelming advantage, which is a little bit crazy for my personal taste. But when you pull off overwhelming advantage, you're smiling from ear to ear, and sometimes you can have it all tooled up, and then it just doesn't go your way, because that's card games for you. But yeah, I absolutely love the battle cards. There's a few that are in here that are bonkers good. I really, really like Another Dull Moment, so it was really cool to spoil that card on my channel, but that has got so many different uses than just playing it with the Wreckers. It's phenomenal. Like, holy cow, it's so good. So guys, so far 2 home runs, characters as well as battle cards. Now, we're coming to the final, I'd say, 200 meters, because we've only got 2 stratagems to talk about, Dave.
I know, like, it's quite surprising, you know, when you think of ATP. Obviously, ATP 1 was 11 stratagems, and ATP 2 didn't have as many, but it still had a fair few. So when I opened the files, I was like, oh, there's only 2, but the 2 good ones.
Yeah, 2 very good ones. So I'm going to take the first one because the second one is a beloved character for both of us. I've played him a ton recently, but I know you have a much more deeper love for that character. So what I'm going to do is I'll take the first one, Dave, and you can take the second one. So what we're going to do is we have number 1 of the stratagems from ATP3, guys, which is called Fire and Fury. And this is for Sergeant Sparkstalker, Black Ops, Cryptology. Now, guys, that's right. It's a Firecon stratagem. Remember those guys? Yeah, I'll let the silence speak for itself. Those guys have a stratagem now, guys. And what it states, for 1 star, it is your deck can have up to 1 extra star of cards, and each of your Firecons has Bold 1 and Tough 1, and Sergeant Sparkstalker gets 3 additional health. This helps Firecons. I was up against this a lot when we were playtesting, and it went through many different iterations, and it is a phenomenal stratagem. It makes Firecons playable, it makes them back onto the table, and the funniest thing as well, you could just run this with Sergeant Sparkstalker and no other Firecon, and he becomes a very scary guy when you just run him on his own with this stratagem. It's incredible. I really, really like it. Dave, your thoughts?
Anything that makes a maligned tribe better, in my opinion, is a good thing. The Arc did their version in Art Wave 1 for the Firecons. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was along the same sort of lines to make them more playable. And this one certainly is doing the same sort of thing. I like the fact that you get the bonus of an extra star of cards, because there were 8 stars each, if memory serves. I think they're clocking at 24.
Yeah, something like that.
So that's cool that, you know, you still get your spare star. And then each of your Firecons having Bold 1 and Tough 1. The Tough it's a bit of an unusual inclusion, I won't lie, because they're not really known for their blue nature. They are, whenever I've used Firecons, have always been heavily orange. Bold, I think, is great for them. Plus 3 health pushes him to 13. That's not bad. That's better than he was, because I think he had 10. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it is very good, because if we bring up the Arc Wave 1 strat, which is Quest for Fire, and it's just Firecons in general, not just Sparkster, it's just Firecons. It says your Firecons have plus 2 additional health, so all 3 of them would have had 2 additional health. And also, before the game begins, you may reveal a Firecon Flame from your deck and put it into your hand. So I believe that's the Firecon upgrade that gives you Bold something, I forget.
Yes, it is, yeah.
But yeah, 2 very, very different cards. I really, really like it. Maybe, Dave, we have to possibly have an Arc and ATP off with Firecons. What madness are we trying to do to ourselves, I say? But yeah, I really, really like it. And again, pushing tribes. Like, this is what we want, because this is what people should be playing. They should be playing kind of theme lists. So I'm really happy when I get to see something like that across the board. Like, if I see Firecons again, I'll be like, who's smoking crack? Like, what's going on? Like, it's going to be really interesting, because like you stated, he goes from 10 health to 13 health, which is incredibly strong, which I really, really like. And you don't even have to play Firecons in a tribal. You could just run him with 3 additional health, and he becomes a very scary guy for just on his own. So
yeah,
very good.
I completely agree. And like, you know, they're not as well known as like the Dinobots and the Insecticons, but I remember, like, my brother had, I can't remember which one it was, but they had like the old thing where it made the sparks inside their mouth in the beast mode.
Yeah, it did. It was like on a ball, like D had one, and he told me that it was just on a, like, you would crank it back and then you would let it go and it would roll across like the ground and it would shoot sparks from its mouth.
That's it. Setting fire to your mum's carpet and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Health and safety in the 1980s, you know.
Just paint them with lead as well. Why not? Lead paint is always
too right. Make them out of lead. Why not?
Make them out of lead.
All those Games Workshop miniatures back in the 1980s, just poison. Poison on the children's shelves. I love it. But no, yeah, it's good. It's nice to see them pushing a tribe that doesn't maybe get as much love as they should have. You know, the Firecons, never going to be the most favourite of tribes, but they definitely deserve a little bit of a nudge, and I think that's cool. So the next one. So we've had quite a lot of discussion around this character.
Yeah.
This is Unbreachable, and it's for the Omega Supreme base Transport City Defender. So where Bayformers looked at promo Omega Supreme, like, how can we make this good? And they really did, and we've talked enough about that. This one is for the base as the combiner version of him. It's 2 stars. So it's quite an expensive one, but it is bloody good. This side is your Omega Supreme base Transport City Defender has Brave and becomes Sturdy. Now, with the base, that's the one that you always want them going into, because that's the one that they take 2 damage and scrap 2 cards when they attack from the top of their deck, which helps you accelerate into Omega Supreme. Sturdy as well. It's horrible. It's 2 stars, mind. What do you think?
Yeah, that's one thing you've got to remember. It is 2 stars. And the thing is as well is, remember the last 2-star strat that they released, which was the one for Demolisher, which was also quite a powerful stratagem, and has been played a little bit with him. And I've played it once with him, and I've been like, I can see how powerful it can be for 2 stars, but also at the same time, I'm not really fussed if I can play it, because obviously with this, there are other avenues to go with Omega Supreme now. And this, I believe, might be avenue number 3. So it's like, which Omega Supreme should we go for? Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3? And it's kind of cool to see, like, love for the big guy, because, yeah, like, this guy should be scary, because whenever he showed up, everyone did kind of shit the bed a little bit. I know the Decepticons definitely did. But yeah, giving the base Brave and Sturdy is incredible, because it keeps him around a little bit longer, and also kind of speeds up the whole aspect of what you want Omega Supreme to do. So it gives you a little bit of design space to take out those Brave cards a little bit, and those point positions and whatever for other card design avenues for this stratagem, which is kind of a cool design aspect to it. So the problem is, though, Dave, this is dual-sided, isn't it?
It is, because that's the line of text I forgot to read. It says at the very bottom, underneath the reminder text for Sturdy, which is good that they put the reminder text on as well, because not, you know, obviously anyone that plays in the ATP series knows what Sturdy does, but not every player that you're possibly going to play against is going to know what Sturdy is, so it's good that they got that. Underneath it says, when you combine its Captain Omega Supreme, Transport City Defender, flip this, and it flips into Unbreachable. For the other side. So this stratagem now applies to Captain Omega Supreme, Transport City Defender. The first time your Captain Omega Supreme, Transport City Defender battles each turn, draw a card and +2 health. It's just solid. Card advantage, because one thing Omega Supreme wants to do is attack with a hand full of cards. Is it scrap 4 and you nuke all their upgrades?
Yeah. Everyone forgets about that sometimes as well, which I laugh at, because I'm like, why aren't you like scrapping some cards from your hand and just making that guy turd? Like, why aren't you? That makes no sense. Especially when you've got, like, you know, those Trifilium platings possibly and some other shenanigans on the board. Like, this guy can get rid of them much quicker, and just allowing him to draw a card every time he battles for the first time is pretty darn good. So if you think about it, you have first turn. If you have Pocket Processor on him, you draw 1 for your turn, then Pocket Processor, then you attack and you draw another card. And if you haven't played anything, there's 3 cards already. And if you've got some cards in your hand, you can already trigger off the shenanigans with him. Like, that's incredibly strong.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good.
It is, and the +2 health is nice as well. You know, he's a beefcake anyway.
And say it with me! Beefcake!
Beefcake.
Beefcake!
Beefcake.
Beefcake!
But like, big boys need the help, and obviously if you are playing in solely Alpha Trion protocols, you don't have access to resilience. There's been a bit of a grumbling amongst the community in certain places, you know, and I don't necessarily agree with it because he's not heavily featuring in the top 8. So I don't think it's too good. Maybe in a casual environment this card is too good, but that's not what it was designed for. There's sort of grumblings like giving the base Brave was too good. I don't know if it is. Yeah, it's good. Is it too good? And when you're paying 2 stars for it at the expense of some other stuff you could put in your deck for those last few stars, I don't think so. And the flip side isn't horrifically obnoxious. Yeah, you're netting a extra card each turn. So there's no difference putting a pocket processor on it.
Yeah, I can see why some people might have some grumbles about it. I can see both sides of the coin, effectively it is. But the one thing you've got to remember is Omega Supreme, again, is a named character, guys. Like, if you think about it, Autobots rarely had most of their combiners at the beginning of their, the wars and stuff. Who did they rely on a ton? Big old Supreme. So it's kind of nice to see them get some love. Obviously, the one thing that can get out of hand, which I think is one thing that has been brought to attention because of this, is if you mix sets. Like, if you do mix Arcwave 1 with this, can get a bit crazy. Just saying is all. Resilience is a thing. Most of the upgrades for Omega Supreme are a thing. It can get out of hand, but at the same time, I don't see it being too much of a problem. Like, sure, you can shut Brave off. You can shut other things off. There's other cards that allow you to ignore those things.
Absolutely.
So there are ways around it. Simple.
Yeah, there are. If he's prevalent, then you just play answers. Shutting off Brave is not difficult to do. You've got Spy Satellite Uplink and Battlefield Scan, I think, are the 2 main ones that come to mind. They've both got green pips, so they're easy to fish for. And it's Omega Supreme. He should be good. He was like their stalwart character from season 2 of G1. He was the guy that
we know
helped them out immensely.
It's true.
He's Omega Supreme.
We all know why, because of the whole lawsuit issue with Jetfire. So that's why.
That's it. We need someone else that doesn't look like the Macross or whatever.
Exactly. If Jetfire didn't exist, Omega Supreme would it? Well, if Jetfire continued to exist, would we have seen Omega Supreme? Probably not. I don't know. But he was the savior for the Autobots. So yeah, screw that stupid scientist. Bring on the space shuttle that literally is the size of the Empire State Building. Come on, boys, let's go. So, Dave, thoughts on the stratagems then?
Yeah, they're both really cool. There's nothing super duper flashy. Like, some of the ones in Wave 1 at ATP were real powerhouses. I don't see either of these being busted or broken, but I just think they breathe a little life into some characters that deserve, a tribe that certainly needed a bit more love, and a much loved character from G1 and beyond. He's featured in everything up to the recent Netflix show, and he's big in the comics. It's nice to see Omega Supreme get a bit of love, and I'm all for that. I think overall, it's cool. I'd like to see where they're going with ATP4. I'd like to see what stratagems, because there's a lot of characters now that have had a stratagem across all the fan sets. It'd be nice to see where ATP throw the dart next,
Yeah, it'll be quite interesting to see that. And obviously, Dave and me do playtests, so we might be able to see them. But hopefully we can ask Dan on our next episode, guys. So episode 25, our next episode, we're going to talk to Dan Arnold about this set and also what shenanigans are kicking over there at Vector Sigma. Hopefully some sneak peeks, probably not too many, spoilers, but maybe some hints at what they're working on in the not too distant future.
Definitely. And yeah, get your questions in now. Once you've listened to, if you've got a question for Dan or for ATP in general, or even for us, fire them off. The more questions we can field, the more interactive that podcast becomes. So please do send your questions in.
Yeah, we absolutely love it. And trust me, if anyone brings up inverted to Dan, I'll give you a high five, because I've been playing that card recently and it somehow did work for me, Dan.
You did. You played it last week against me on Thursday.
I played it last week, and somehow
what?
I was like, what the heck is this? And you were like, oh, that did work. And I was like, yep, but not for defending. So
no, it was really good. It was blue bugs. We were talking about bugs earlier, blue bugs with wave 1 kickback, and you just inverted him. I was like, because for most of the game, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, he's not that offensive. And then later on, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I have inverted in belligerence in this deck for 1 card only. But maybe in the not too distant future, soon that ransack that was spoiled in this set, that could be very tasty. Just saying.
I have one word for you.
What?
Dumb.
Yeah.
You're dumb.
It will be dumb. Bugs are dumb, and I absolutely love it. So, guys, I think that's another episode in the books, Dave. I think it's nicely wrapped up. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed ATP3. It's been a long time coming. Obviously, the set has been out for a while. Hopefully, you guys have been playing with it. We haven't played with it a ton because, yeah, we're gluttons for punishment. We play with everything. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Dave, what is coming out on your channel? What have you been up to, and what can we look forward to in the not too distant future coming out on the Energon Hustlers?
Well, we've got quite a lot more Tournament Tuesday stuff coming, actually, because the tournament scene's really cranking up. We've had a few tournaments end recently. It's already aired. We've had Menasor versus Sky Shadow, but we've got some more Tournament Tuesday stuff coming. So I'm looking at the Autism Awareness one, so it's top 8 decks from that, and also from the ATP Bayformers crossover. For the rest of the channel, just more of the same, just kind of more janky builds. I'm working on some stuff. I think a lot of what's happening for me at the moment is behind the scenes. We're helping out some friends, and we're also working on our own stuff. We play test most Thursdays, don't we, mate? We've got some stuff going on. We announced it last episode. I'm really happy with where we're at with that. I think we're getting to the point where we can possibly start spoiling cards properly, maybe 1 per episode. Who knows? Yeah,
I think it's going to be going from strength to strength, the excitement for our set, because we kind of talked about it on the last episode, guys, that we're going for fun and theme, and that's what we want to do. And our first whole wave idea is that we want to just bring life into old characters, which we talked about a little bit in that episode. But we can have a little bit of an update with our podcast. We did state we aren't doing characters. We lied. We're dumb.
You're dumb.
We want to do, and Damien think it's a really cool idea, we want to do a promo one-off character for each set that we do. So, Dave, it's a character that's already been introduced into the thing, but let's just say she was very uneventful, wasn't she?
She was, and she was also a promo for Wizards, so not everyone had her. So there's a little teaser for you there. And this is more in line with her G1 appearance as well.
100% true. And we like it, and she's currently in playtesting. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it and get a kick out of her.
I like it. That was good.
Yeah, we're good at this teasing stuff, I swear. But anyway, yes. Coming up on my channel, I'm still playing a lot of Faria, which is obviously, I've moved away a little bit from Transformers because obviously with England, we're in lockdown. We're now kind of coming out of it, but not a lot of my guys play Transformers anymore. So the only people I know are on the internet, and we play it via webcam. But we are, obviously, with the big announcement from our last podcast, we are looking at streaming and stuff like that. So we're looking at alternative avenues to bring Transformers content through, obviously, Turbo Revin, Young Punks, or Old Punks, sorry. But also the fact on my channel as well. So we're just messing around. I'm looking at a new computer and loads of other fun stuff. But yes, Faria Fridays is a big thing. And obviously, One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall will continue to come out, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, we've got some cool stuff in the pipeline. We've obviously got Dan next. We've got Techno from the Arc, who wants to come and have a chat with us. He is the rules god of the Transformers universe, and also the man that has told me that many of my cards needed changing the wording. Because he knows how to word cards properly. So we've got Techno coming, we've got Matthew from the Great War set. Now that's a really cool alternate format, very similar to Primus, but even bigger. How can you make Primus bigger? 50 stars big. So Matthew, we haven't forgotten. We're going to come and have a chat with you because I do believe Great War 2 is coming out at some point, which is going to be a really interesting thing with the community. He's asking for submissions from the community for cards. So where people may not be brave enough to make a whole set, but they've had a really cool one-off idea, he's looking to put that in the Great War 2. So that's really cool. Be nice to chat with Matthew and Legendary as well from Wave X.
We have so many.
And that's just, ATP4 is going to be out at some point soon because we're all nearly a quarter into the year, and there's obviously our set which we're going to do. I think our own set deserves a whole episode as well, so we're going to be doing some cool stuff. We've probably got about 6 episodes lined up, and that's not counting obviously all the other stuff that Lee does and I do. So yeah,
we're busy
little bees.
Bees.
I'll let Lee do the outro because I'm rubbish at it. So
it's perfectly fine, guys. So if you've enjoyed this, please leave a like. A like is much appreciated. Comment below. Tell us your thoughts on obviously ATP3, but also leave comments and questions for Dan in on the YouTube, and obviously when we share this on the Facebook groups of Transformers TCG and stuff like that, leave your questions for Dan because we want them to accumulate, and we want to ask Dan all the fun stuff, like asking the questions like, why did you pick Preceptor? Why? And stuff like that. Loads of fun stuff. Like, just get it all out there. Thank you for listening if you've watched it on YouTube. Thank you for downloading it. If you've listened to it via iTunes, Podbean, all the usual avenues, please leave star ratings. It's always appreciated. So, with that being said, it is a goodbye from me, Lee.
And it's goodbye from me, Dave. We'll see you on the next episode of One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall.
One shall stand, one shall fall.